So how exactly are we to tackle this? Let me open it up to the two people who actually did this entire survey. Joining us next is Aparajita Bharti. She's the co-founder of YLAC. It's the Young Leaders for Active Leadership, and also Anshul Tiwari, founder for Youth Ki Awaaz. Thank you both for joining us. Very timely survey, I would say, that you guys have done. But the news of the day as we speak about it is that news reports have come that Sam Altman has made a statement, and he has now said that parental controls will be introduced. Let me give the first word to Bharti to try and understand, given everything that we know now from the survey that you guys have done, will this make a difference?
Thanks, Sonal, and thanks for covering this report. I think it is timely, but we didn't time it to coincide with all the news that is coming around, what the most harmful impacts of emotional dependence on AI could be. I think parental controls is something that social media companies have also introduced, and they can be effective provided parents know about it. I think one of the big things that tech companies have struggled with is that usually young people are obviously more conversant with technology, and they are faster to adopt technology, and older people are often lagging behind. However, that being said, I think with AI, probably the adoption is actually pretty mass. It is happening across age groups. Yes, young people will obviously be ahead, but given that AI is embedded in our WhatsApp, AI is embedded in search, AI is everything. So anybody who's online is now exposed to AI. Parental controls can really give a lot of, I think, power and information to parents in terms of usage patterns of children, provided they switch them on. So I think it's a good start. It will not be enough. I think there is a lot of other safety by design features that need to be introduced in AI tools to make them safe, not just for young people, but also for adults. Because one thing we do want to point out, we are not seeing this in India right now, but in some other countries, already AI tools are being used to help elderly to cope up with loneliness, etc. So very soon we will actually already start seeing some of these impacts there as well, and it will be interesting whether the trends are similar or not.
Yeah, but let's go back to the trends a little bit after having covered that sort of update here. Anshul, I don't know where to begin. I'm very worried, very, very worried. If almost 60% of young people are going to depend on AI for emotional support, 40% of them will say that I'd rather talk to a machine than talk to a human. This is a whole societal system crumbling. And I'm not sure, just playing the devil's advocate there, I'm not sure if AI is to be blamed alone for this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned it. And I must also mention that, this is a critical dipstick. It is a small study, but it's a critical study. We particularly spent time analyzing it from multiple lenses because we wanted to make sure that this becomes the kind of flag that we need at the right time. Now, as far as the point that you raised is concerned, you're absolutely right. The biggest question that, in my opinion, that it raises is really on society as a whole. Where are teens really finding avenues and spaces to speak up and to really express themselves, to have outlets? Where are the spaces that need to exist, maybe in educational institutions, in families? Very often we've seen that, teenagers who are actually using AI tools to make confessions or to, find deeper resonance are doing it almost immediately after maybe they've had a fight with their parent or with a friend, and so on and so forth. So it almost seems like in many cases, for many people, it might just be replacing therapy. In fact, one of the conversations that both, Aparajita and I did experience with a teenager was where where we were told that ChatGPT or the AI bot that I'm using is better than the therapist that I have. So we've seen this happen quite a bit in conversations, and even now, there are many stories that people wrote about this on our platform after the survey came out and during the survey, where people have in very great detail told us about the kind of conversations that they've had with ChatGPT and other tools. So I mean, it's not just ChatGPT; it's all AI tools. Having said that, I do want to point to one thing, which is that the report also does talk about the fact that users themselves identify this as a problem. So it's definitely an issue. Teenagers are also recognizing that this is causing social isolation in their life. But it's
But
almost
hold
like
on, these are teenagers who have seen a world outside AI, and perhaps why they know it. I'm worried about a generation which will grow with AI and think of it as a new norm.
And we already have that. We already have a generation that is growing up with AI and is seeing it as a norm. And even though behaviors of older teens might change, we ourselves are quite concerned about younger teens. For whom this is how the internet is. This is how the shape and the makeup of the internet and social media really looks like today. And like Aparajita already mentioned, these are tools that are available everywhere. Any app you open, any place you go to, they're available. They're in all languages. And like you already mentioned, the data about rural versus urban also highlights the fact that it's not something that's just an urban phenomenon. It's definitely set to grow quite a bit, and we need to make the right guardrails to ensure that schools, parents, and various other organizations that work with children are adequately equipped to handle these situations well enough.
No, but I want to go back to the point and Prajita, come in on this one. We keep saying that people are going to AI and not going to the parents. For me, I think the problem is that why are they not going to the parents? Why has ChatGPT or AI become the go-to? So there is some conversation, there is some trust that is perhaps broken, which has to be fixed. Because, as a parent, I'm thinking, even I'm new to this. Even I'm new to ChatGPT taking over our lives. I don't know. Parenthood doesn't come with a manual. None of us know how to sort of handle this with our kids as well. So what are we supposed to do in this scenario? Just go back and say, okay, no phones, no internet, nothing before you turn 13.
I think, Sonam, you can't do that now, even if you want to. So I think we have to think of other ways. I think you're absolutely right. I think when we even look at what this data is telling us, more girls are using AI for emotional reliance than boys, and also in smaller cities. Now, if you look at what is common between young people in smaller cities and girls, is often that they are more at they live with the fear of being judged, and they feel that they don't have avenues to go and discuss things that may be troubling them. You have to understand that between 13 to 18, people are thinking about their identity. They have many questions about their sexuality. They are forming new relationships, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. So obviously it is much easier to go to a tool which is not going to judge you,
But
and
why?
therefore
That's what I'm trying to understand. Why? Isn't that the problem? Why is it? And that's what we keep making AI a demon and one responsible for everything wrong going on in our lives right now. But I don't think that really fixes any problem. What we really need to fix is why is it that girls are not having support groups of their own? Why isn't it that parents have that relationship with their kids that they're able to talk freely? Why is it that we've become so occupied in our lives that we are perhaps missing out on cues, not being able to understand these lighter cues that kids often sort of just project and don't say? Isn't that the issue?
absolutely, that is the issue, Sonam. But I do want to say that not all blame also lies on family structures and society structures. I think we also have to think about technology not just as a neutral, thing that happens to us. A lot of design features also have to be taken into account, because you have to understand that if AI talks to you in a way that it always makes you feel good about yourself, you're more likely to turn to a tool rather than a human.
Anshul, for any parent watching right now being as worried, irritated, agitated as I am, and as I'm sure all of you are as well, who know perhaps so much more than what this report has projected, know a lot more testimonies. What is it that we need to do now? Because I'm sick and tired of waiting for government to sort of get in some guardrails. They'll always stay behind tech. There is no way any policy can come in which will sort of prepare us better or do something which is ahead of the curve, right? That's not going to happen. So what do we do as parents?
I think, there is a simple solution that we need to start implementing almost immediately, which is have more open, non-judgmental conversations with our children. I mean, I have no experience in parenting. I'm not a parent myself, but, having seen a lot of teenagers and a lot of young people who are a part of our community who took this survey, who were a part of, consultations that we've attended, the one thing that we've heard from them over and over again is that I wish I could say this to my to my father or to my mother, but I cannot. So I think, I mean, if there is a parent listening to this and if they're worried about it, banning social media, banning access to AI, banning access to phones may, definitely not solve this. What could potentially solve this is having more open conversations and making them feel that if there is something that is breaking down in their life, then they have a confidant in their parents. They have a confidant in their siblings and in the family structure that they're supported by, and that's a bigger, larger cultural, social question that we also need to ask and answer about how much agency are we as families willing to afford to children who are growing up in a world that is so rapidly changing that honestly you cannot control the flow of information that is coming to them every single day. So I think it's a much larger question that we need to answer, but the beginning of it is through these open, more neutral, more accepting dialogues with children.
Yeah, and am I right in understanding that Aparajita and Anshul, both of you are of the opinion that banning does not help? These massive movements that are going on in the US of screen-free childhood, no cell phones, no internet before 13, 16. Countries now, Australia, so many others have now banned use. They're not allowing schools to sort of let kids come in inside with a phone. Do we have any data? Can you compare it for us perhaps and say if it's working, not working?
So, Sonam, I think, banning definitely is not an option for India. In India, social media is also linked to social mobility of young people and what kind of world that are they able to access. So, I think, and I don't think any country right now has implemented these bans fully. So, we don't know what the impact of that is. All of these are actually just proposals right now. Even Australia, which has passed a law, has not implemented it. I think what has really worked better is some kind of age appropriate design codes for technology, where basically some guidance is given to tech platforms on how to design their products in a way so that they are age appropriate. And that means that you can do a tiered kind of a thing as well. It is not just teenagers, because teenage is also a very long period of time in a person's life. Between 13 to 18, people change a lot and you can't
Yeah.
club them together. So maybe you need to think of 13 to 15, 15 to 15 and 16, 17 and 18, and give experiences that are tailored towards that.